Okay, it is. That's the thing. To Overture, and this is episode 33. It is coming at you on Thursday, August the 31st,
It might be Friday if I forget. Sometimes that happens.
or it's Friday, September the 1st.
You never know. Keep them on guard.
That's right, 1 month away from October, the best month.
Yay! And then November, and then December, and then it's 2024. Brand new year with a brand new attitude. But we still gotta catch them all. Pokemon Johto. Do. Yeah.
Okay, so Kevin, you're one of the few people. Obviously, everyone knows the original theme song for the American release of Pokemon,
Oh, yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
I think you might be alone in the Johto theme song.
Like that was like I remember that one, and then I don't remember like any of the rest of them. I remember
Give me the Orange Islands.
I
How's
have
the
Oh,
song for the Orange
that's the
Islands
one I'm
go?
trying to pull out from my brain.
I
I'm
don't
like,
know.
it's in there somewhere.
I know the American original, I know the Japanese original, and I know like the Johto one, and then that's it. Cause then like I was
Not counting all of the video game music.
well, no, that's different.
Yeah.
That's different. My favorite Pokemon video game is like I think it's Gate Theme from X and Y. It's this very, very chill sounding music that you only hear when you go into like the gates between like the house or like those little guard houses, and
Yeah.
you rarely hear it. But if you actually stand around and listen to that music, it's like the most chill and soothing song that has ever been put in a video game, and you're like,
That's
oh.
X and Y, one of the best Pokemon games.
I really like X and Y. I think of all like the games that had the gimmick, I think its gimmick was the best. The Mega Evolution is conceptually my favorite because it allows like quote unquote bad Pokemon to become good.
I think they should have just kept doing Mega Evolution.
I agree. I don't like that
I-
they decided everything gets a brand new I win button.
Yeah, and because it's all still the same thing anyway.
It's
just like
you press
now,
yeah,
now
you
it's
press
called
the
Gigamax.
I'm worse with that. I hate the retcon of Mega Evolutions. Because now it's, if you read all the new stuff about Mega Evolutions in the game, they're like, oh yeah, when they Mega Evolve, it like horribly debilitates them and hurts them.
Oh, see, I loved that. Cause that's like the Kaioken technique.
That's why you don't want to use that, and you want to use Z moves.
You want to use Z moves or Gigantamax or
whatever the new one is.
Civilization.
Z moves to me should be also like debilitating.
Yeah. I
Like arguably more so. At least the Mega Evolution puts them into a new like body that can handle the power.
And it's temporary.
A Z move is just like literally what Pichu's already doing and gets hurt for doing.
Yeah. Also, man.
This is why Digimon's better.
Yeah, Digimon will be like, yeah, we'll just murder people.
Yo,
It's
I love
cool.
Digimon. There's a reason why on our list, like
that's Pal World. Pal World
yeah.
will just murder people.
There's a reason on our list, like early Pokemon, I'm super into, and I did not put like Scarlet and Violet, which I have not played. There's a reason why, like, as time has gone by, I'm not putting the latest one on there.
I had to like stop for a second and think about which one's Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
It's the new ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the new
That
ones.
is the first like main
Jesus
series
Christ.
Pokemon game I just completely ignored. I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah, like I looked a little bit at England.
Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield. There we go.
Drew, I was racing to try to remember what it was called as well.
I liked parts of Sword and Shield. Like it was one of like I kind of felt like Sword and Shield like I do about Breath of the Wild, where like if they ironed like if Red and Scarlet and Violet were like Tears of the Kingdom, where they ironed out all like the performance issues of Sword and Shield, I would have been like, okay, I get you. But no, they doubled down and made it worse. And then I'm like, no
Yeah.
thanks.
So I definitely I played red, and then I played. Well, I started playing gold. Then I got to Pseudo Wudo, and I stopped, and I never beat it. And then I didn't play a Pokemon game until X or
Yeah.
Y specifically.
See, because like,
And I touched some.
see, I am a hater on Generation 2. I will always be a hater on Gen 2.
Oh, I don't understand that. Why are you a hater on Gen 2?
Because I think it's like, I feel like all the cool stuff in that game of Gen 2 comes after you beat the Elite Four. Like, you don't get many of like the new Pokemon types until you hit like Kanto. Basically,
That's true.
Gen 2 becomes cool once you hit Kanto, and I think a lot of people forget that the actual Johto part is kind of bland. It's kind of bland, and I think the experience grind is way more grindy in that game. Even if you're like running like 3 or 4 Pokemon instead of a full 6. Like you're gonna
Did
get.
Heart Gold and Soul.
No, they didn't. Heart Gold and Soul Silver added even more features like post in like Kanto. Like I think people like remember the end of that game and not the beginning, which makes me kind of a hater. It's also like that was the time I was like out of Pokemon. And I was like, I'm done. And then I got back in for Ruby and Sapphire.
Listen, if you got to eat slop to get to the steak dinner, you can just go eat a steak dinner instead.
Yeah.
It's true.
And I think a lot of the Johto designs are kind of mediocre.
Yeah, there's some I really like, but then they just suck. Like I think Ladian is a super cool like little common rider
it's
Pokemon.
cool Pokemon. Great design.
And then it's just complete garbage.
Yeah, just awful. There's a lot of just garbage in Gen 2, and I don't
remember what it's called. It's the Sunflower Pokemon.
Yeah, Sunflora.
Sunflower. That you can only meet in like one area, and I'm like, I don't ever want to have this Pokemon. Who gives a shit?
I was also really upset because I was like, yo, Houndoom. Houndoom looks super cool. When am I going to get this Pokemon? And it's like, patch outside of Celadon City in the post game. And I'm like, why?
Make sure you have the right version as well.
Yeah, it's like, dude. Yeah. Why can't I get the cool dark type early? Like, that's one of the things I enjoyed about Ruby and Sapphire was that you got a bunch of weird combinations early. Like relatively early in the game, like Mightyena or whatever was like a dark type, and you're like, "Whoa, I'm getting like a dark type as like the Rattata." That's nuts.
Like I hate finding Pokemon late game, especially in post game, because it's like, no, I have my boys, and I like already made an attachment with them, and they already have type coverage and. Man, that Pokemon's sick as hell!
Yep.
I don't want to wait forever to get a Bagon just so I get a Salamence.
Yeah, Salamence is really cool. But like,
you know who's cooler than that?
Game?
Getting a Trapinch in the middle of the game and turn that into a Flygon.
Yes.
That's even better.
Yo, Breloom is the sickest. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
You get that stupid little mushroom and then it evolves and you're like, whoa, it's like a fighting kangaroo.
It punches?
Yo, this thing's sick. That thing was like, I love Breloom. Big fan of Breloom. But anyway, Drew, tell me about why did you want to talk about Homestuck?
Oh, okay. So I listened to a podcast by Ranged Touch, which are like Austin Walker adjacent.
Okay.
And so they did a podcast. Range Touch is the Patreon, and they had a stretch goal of like, hey, if we get so much funding, we'll do a Homestuck podcast.
Hell yeah!
And so the main host, Red Homestuck Live, was involved in the forums.
Okay.
And everything, so very much like
they were in it.
Grounded. Yes, in it.
They were in it,
and
like
then
how I was in it.
Yes, and then the co-host. This is his first time reading it.
Okay, is the co-host familiar with Undertale at all?
He has not played it, but he's very much into video games and everything.
Okay, so
And
like,
like again, these are Austin Walker adjacent people,
yeah,
so
that's what I'm
not just
saying.
like familiar with video games, but like
No, you're in it.
familiar in a scholarly manner.
Yeah, like you're in it. Like I can admit
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So like whenever like they just discussed like the first Flash that had a Toby Fox song,
Yep.
and like so of course like they discussed Toby Fox and Undertale, and he asked, "Is Undertale Homestuck?"
Yes.
And I thought that's a good question.
It is.
Um,
Undertale is what Homestuck should have been, and it finishes. And it has a good ending. Unlike
so okay,
Homestuck.
okay. Honestly, if you've never read Homestuck, what I'm gonna say right now is you should read Homestuck, and then whenever the scratch happens, don't stop reading Homestuck. Just stop reading that and just play Undertale.
I
That's
agree.
that's what happened
I
after
think
the
I think
scratch.
you could say, yeah, that is a much better ending. You're gonna get that like because Undertale is like prime Homestuck of like the good parts. It's all the good parts. You got your silly monsters. You got your good music. It's all there. You got your like video game japes. It's good. Big fan of Undertale.
Yeah. So, but it's a very nice, enjoyable like revisiting Homestuck, and I'm like, I think I'm probably gonna wind up rereading Homestuck now. Which I mean, I haven't read it in 10 years.
Well, I'd imagine that like the parts that are good are still gonna be good, and then like once it gets bad, you're gonna stop.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. That's probably right.
But the parts that are good are like transcendent. Like it's
Yeah.
hard. It's really hard to express how wild it was whenever someone said update, it was a flash, and then you played like your 2D adventure where you just walked around like John Egbert's crazy world and talked to people and did puzzles, and you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, and that's what like a lot of the discussion is like. No, but live when that happened, the fandom just took it. It was like we're gonna build John's house. Like that's the end point of this, and it's like a lot of like not only are they discussing the comic as they read it, but he's also going through like the archived forums
Oh
and
yeah.
like I think specifically like the archived something awful
No, the
forums
something
for
awful
it.
forward thread was incredible and was also people like losing their minds. There was a lot of and something awful. There's a lot of like people with Homestuck avatars, and then like you could. I wish I had a graph or something, but you could see them like go up exponentially, and people are like, why is all these people stupid gray monsters? Why is all these people have their gray monster faces? It's like you don't understand. You weren't there.
Yep, and so yeah, yeah. Can't. I should really learn their names. But anyway, so the guy who's never read it is like, yeah, all I know about Homestuck really is just like these gray monsters. And they just finished Act 2. It's like, so like, they have to be shown up, and the host is just, no, you got a while yet. You got a while before those
Oh yeah,
things
no,
even
those guys
appear.
don't show up till like Act 4.
Yeah.
I think Act 3 you start to see like some of the trolls, and then
Yeah.
like Act
Yeah, like
Four is the
they
troll
start
act.
they start chatting,
Yeah,
but like you don't know they're alien monsters.
yeah. You're not afforded the shipping grid. You're not informed of that.
But
Man, Homestuck, like, oh god.
and so also apparently those books, like the print books, have author commentary from Hussey.
Wow.
So it's like an actual reason to buy those.
There's so much of being live with Homestuck at the time that made like it was an experience I don't think I will ever feel again because I don't think like
Nolan,
go
did you read Homestuck?
yeah, Nolan, were you into Homestuck at all?
No.
Oh, guys, okay,
That
I
went
got an
right
idea for
past
a new
me.
podcast.
Make me read Homestuck.
Make you read Homestuck as we try to explain where whenever Dave Strider's blog would update and you'd have to go read it as he would the character Dave Strider would live blog his experiences in the comic as a blog. And then you could read Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff. The greatest comic of them all.
Jesus Christ.
It's a lot, Nolan, but I think okay. Also remember it is
Yeah.
2009.
Oh, there's some.
So,
there's some Newgrounds-esque shenanigans. I'm gonna say going on there.
There's some white guy being ironically racist as a joke, and it's still just racist.
It's not to the caliber of Newgrounds 2000 early 2000s, which I would say is the peak of this is the internet.
Yeah.
But like there's still an element of that in there. We haven't fully progressed, but it's still in there.
Yeah.
But Homestuck.
God, did you finish Homestuck, Kevin?
Hell no. Like I bailed around I bailed at like God, what was it? It was post Scratch.
What?
Then they
did
like
so what do you think about it? I remember post Scratch, you being the first person to be like, so Drew, what do you think about Bro's name is gonna be Drew? And I was like, oh shit, it could be. And then the relief of like, oh thank God he wasn't named Drew. He sucks.
Oh, Bro was terrible. When Bro was revealed to be terrible, like I bailed, and then Hussey did like his
sucks.
ultra pause or whatever because he got scammed out of like all the crap for
Yep.
And then I'm like, and it's gone. And then it kind of came back, and I'm like, I've left this. And then I watched like a YouTube video to find out actually how it ended, and I'm like, I'm glad some person on YouTube told me this, and I did not read it because it sounds bad.
Yep. Like it just got. I don't know. Like
I don't
know
that
if
Kickstarter
I
broke him. I think that Kickstarter
Probably.
broke him completely. Because there's several people, like I think U-Realms Rob also was broken by the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because that was like Kickstarter, this is the age where like people were kickstarting and they thought like, yo, this is sick. I'm gonna give this guy like a bunch of money and then he's gonna give me the perfect thing I want in like a year. And then people realize that making video games is really hard and like getting $300,000 or whatever is not even close to what you need to make a video game.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like you'd think like, oh yeah, Hussey, he's making these Flash games or whatever. Like, yeah, you give him like $1 million, it'd be fine. And then it's like, nope. No. Not even close.
And then you get scammed on top of that.
Yep. Because that's like what happened to so many of those where like I think people vastly underestimated the difficulty, time, and effort it took to make a video game.
I was also during that time of like Kickstarters constantly not living up to whatever expectations.
Well, yeah,
were
but, well, it was
right?
the remember when Mighty Number 9 did its Kickstarter, people were freaking out and they're saying, "Yo, Mega Man's back. We don't need that Capcom. He'll just make it ourselves. It's just Mega Man." And you're like, "Yeah, all the people there.
Yep.
Well, how could this possibly go wrong?" It's like 90% of Kickstarter, like I think Undertale was a Kickstarter game and it succeeded. Like the ones that succeeded were already like in early access or whatever. There's some Kickstarter like
it's like they just needed additional funding.
Yeah, like the ones like the Tim Schafer adventure game that was already like being made, and then they just needed basically.
No, so it wasn't already being made. Like that's part that started at the adventure. Like that adventure game started development after the Kickstarter.
But what I'm saying is that like I'm pretty sure the studio was there.
Yeah, no, they already had the infrastructure in place.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
And then it still wound up costing like I think 3 times what the
Oh, yeah.
Kickstarter raised.
But what I'm saying is there's a difference between like Tim Schafer, who already has the studio, and then Andrew Hussey, whose experience was like making a comic when having some guys be on like the art and music team, and then like, all right, time to make a video game studio. Put
What's
this
the-
out.
I'm trying to remember what it's the guys that did World of Warcraft and then they did Minecraft.
No, they did. It was
Well,
the
what's
guys
that-
who did King's Quest. It was like the Fine Brothers or something. Was it them?
No, I'm what is it? Like it's Yogg's cast.
Yeah,
or
the
something.
Yogg's Cat or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was some one of those where it was like, uh-oh. Like, and then, like, the only Kickstarters I will ever see now are, like, they'll have...
Tabletop.
It's tabletop Kickstarters work because usually it's just, this is, like, the thing is written, this is our covering our cost to print it.
Yep.
It's done.
Also,
Just, this is what it costs to print. We're making it on demand.
yeah. And then what's the other one you were gonna say?
I was gonna say like a couple games like Undertale worked. I was gonna say like early access games or whatever, but that kind of whatever.
Oh, Shovel Knight,
Yeah, Shovel Knight worked.
3.
the king.
And then I think this was also not understanding what the rewards for Kickstarter need to be, so then they were costing out the ass.
Oh
to, like-
Lord, yeah. Cause so like the Kickstarter backer rewards that cost way more than the money. So like you're offering all these tiers and all these tiers of merch and like to ship out and package and do all the merch cost more than the money. You're like losing money whenever some guy bought like the like t-shirt
Costing
tier.
more than what they donated.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, but man, there was a brief magical time where Homestuck was the greatest thing that has ever been made. Yo, I will still say I downloaded a custom IRC client that was Pester Chum, and it looked like Pester Chum, and you had all your people there, and you had IRC chat rooms that were just Pester Chum, and everyone was like had their troll quirks typing and whatever. It was sick.
Oh,
It was incredibly
I just-
sick.
I just did a search in the App Store yesterday to see if there was a like standing app for Pester Chum
yo.
or not, and there is not.
Yeah, I don't think the Pester Chum client is working. Oh, apparently it is. But like I don't know, man. That's way that
Yep.
time is dead. Like I don't know who is still
Yep.
rocking the Homestuck train. You only got people like my age plus minus basically between mine and Nolan's age. Maybe younger. Were there some young kids?
I
No,
think
you're
younger.
Kevin. You're about right. That's the only people I've ever seen do
Yeah,
Homestuck
like the
stuff.
Zoomers don't know about Zoomers went to Undertale.
No, I think so. There's like the old Zoomers do, because I worked with someone whose nieces were surprised as hell when they said something about Homestuck, and I knew what they were talking about, and I was like,
Yeah, I know about
"You don't need
Homestuck.
to be reading Homestuck."
Just play Undertale. That's all you
Go
need.
play Deltarune.
Yeah. Well,
But no,
Delta-
this was like
Delta's
10 years ago. This was when Homestuck was actually,
Oh, it was.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. It's like my age
Yeah.
minus 10. That's usually what I consider like the Homestuck age. Like when I
How
was
old do you
like,
think Nolan is?
I thought Nolan is like, is it Nolan like 6 years younger than me?
I think so, but that's not 10 years younger than you.
Oh no,
No.
I just know that
But
like.
yeah, I'm in there at least.
Yeah, no, he's in. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I was just saying, like generally, it's like my age minus
Okay.
10.
Oh, okay.
So some of my internet friends that are like 10 years younger than me were into Homestuck, and that's how I.
You actually are right because I have some friends that are like 2 to 3 years younger than me that also rocked a lot of Homestuck stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm
you're
like,
yo,
the way they start explaining it to me, I'm like, I have no interest in this.
oh, you're correct.
Yep.
You're good not to get in there because you'd be disappointed.
That was the only reason why is because I had someone explain it to me. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
like
we're
that.
talking
That's
about
cool.
Homestuck.
Do your own thing,
on
bud.
on the flip side of that, if you have a friend who is like thinking about getting into it, you can still have full conversations in front of them without spoilering anything because it's so dense.
Oh, their context doesn't matter. When you talk about Bec Noir fighting the chessboard people and getting the queen's ring, and it's like that doesn't matter. However, Problem
Yeah,
Sleuth,
okay.
if you want like
I see. Okay.
if you want like the Homestuck experience that has an ending, it's all
Yep.
Problem Sleuth. Problem Sleuth.
Yep, old problems.
It is self-contained. It has an ending. Stick strong. One of my favorite moments is Ace Dick, Fiesta Ace Dick, and Zombie Ace Dick combined to form Ace Dick.
Yep.
Because he has no
Truffle
imagination.
shuffle.
Yeah. Belly of the Whale.
Oh.
Great.
Did you know the Midnight Crew came out of Problem Sleuth fan fiction?
I did not,
Huh?
but that's great. I love the
So,
Midnight
like,
Crew.
Yeah, people could pay Andrew Hussey to write like or draw alternate, panels. And so they're like, I want my tabletop group, the Midnight Crew, to meet Problem Sleuth.
Oh,
And they
hell
didn't
yeah.
apparently give him much direction on what the Midnight Crew were. And so then other people in the fandom started paying more money to see more Midnight Crew as Andrew Hussey interprets.
Yeah, like one of the things
them.
about Homestuck that falls on deaf ears, even like later Homestuck, is like for the first, I would say like 3 to 4 acts, like the website had like a submission page where users would submit like in text adventure form what was going to happen next.
Yep.
So like it would be like John Egbert's room has a bunch of stuff in it. And then you could go on the website, enter in a thing, and say investigate bed, and then he would draw like like basically the TG adventure or quest threads,
Yeah.
like Plague of Gripes Magnum Opus Strong Quest or Huge Quest.
West.
But imagine that, but it just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
It just kept going for years and multiple times a day. That was also one of the things about Homestuck is like the randomness and speed of updates would happen. Like this is not like updates Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This is like you're gonna get like 3 updates on Monday, nothing on Tuesday, a flash cartoon on like Wednesday, then like a follow-up 1 update on Friday. And then something else. But then when someone was paying attention to Hussey's blog, they would notice that a character's blog updated. My favorite Andrew Hussey story is still when people gave him money and he said, "Don't give me money. I'm going to go to Olive Garden and waste this." And then he went to Olive Garden and just started wasting money. He documented himself going to like the Olive Garden and like, I'm just going to buy breadsticks and pasta and you can't stop me. Love it. I watched the movie.
Does anyone know what Hussey's doing now?
I think he's gone. I think he's vanished. I think there was some
Wrong.
like brand management of Homestuck and then a bunch of crap and then he just vanished. Which is like he made some other like game or something that came out.
That's sorry. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, well, like, where can I find this stuff? On the internet? And then it's like, oh yeah, just buy the books from this company.
Yeah, I think Viz bought it or something.
Viz Media.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Viz Media owns the franchise of Homestuck.
Yep.
It's really
Viz
weird.
bought Homestuck.
This is really weird.
Yeah, like
But no, you can still just go to mspaintadventures.com.
Yeah. And it's really strange and there's a lot of stuff and I don't know legally and it's like it has like a very upsetting ending.
Can I just read this on the site? Let me see.
I think you can. You should be able just to read it on the site. I hope they didn't put ads. They might. I think some of like the Flash videos are broken, and I don't know how the rights of the music work. So there's like a bunch of shenanigans. You might have to watch like a YouTube of like.
So my understanding, there's also like a Homestuck archive that you can read it off of too. That like makes a dedicated web browser effectively that will then still run Flash, so you don't have to worry about viruses.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I'm like, these websites are. Whoa, okay.
It was a different time. It was a very
It's a very different time.
Like, to me, Homestuck is like, while we don't have, I felt like we haven't had a quote unquote generation since like the 90s. I felt like 20s, 2010, and 2020s have all been literally the same. Like, Homestuck is very of its time in the internet. Like that late 2000s, early 2010s, that is like definitive.
Yep.
Of what that is, what the internet was. I miss that time.
Forum culture, baby.
I miss man. I think that's also true. Like, Homestuck was forum culture before we hit like social media poisoning. Like,
the fuck? Zeus Smell Poop Lord?
yeah, Zeus Mal Poop Lord.
Okay. Okay.
Yo, we got, it's good.
That's a reference.
That comes up many times. God, there's so many little sayings, and like, listen, like how I am with Rugrats, I think people 10 years younger than me are with Homestuck.
So honestly, Nolan,
Definitely.
just listen to the first episode of Homestuck Made This World, and if that does nothing for you, don't read Homestuck. And even if it does do something for you, don't read Homestuck.
Do watch classic Rugrats. Yo, season 1, like Rugrats up to the movie, still say holds up. There's some good episodes.
You might be right, but I feel like it's also a good bit for the podcast, so we'll come back to this. We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah, put a pin in it. We'll do our Rugrats rewatch podcast. We'll talk about that one time Melville died.
Yeah.
I was real sad because Chucky learned about death the second time after his mom.
Yeah, I was gonna say he already knew about death.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that horrible nightmare Tommy had.
Oh, that's where you get my favorite line in the show. If you have to ask, you'll never know.
No.
Oh man, classic Rugrats is sick. Love classic Rugrats.
And it just looks ugly.
Oh, it's so good. The characters are great. There's a lot of good jokes. Baby's gotta do.
God, the episode where Grandpa thinks he's woken up across the border and doesn't have his papers.
Remember, Rugrats did a Hanukkah special. That's how I learned what Hanukkah was. And a Kwanzaa special.
And a Passover special.
Yeah. Like, Rugrats was in there. Rugrats did not mess around. When, like, Susie's parents moved in and, like, all the adults were, like, trying to ask him about, like, his stupid Care Bear show, and he did not care. He's like, that's my job. Please not here. That's my job for children. Why are you guys into this? And I was like, oh, it's so good. Oh, man. Love it. Anyway, what else are we going to talk about?
I think something happened to Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I started playing Final Fantasy 16. I'm right before you got to fight Big Garuda. I think that game is an extreme 8 out of 10 in like the exact same ways that the MMO is. Just replace like MMO content with like Devil May Cry character action, but like it feels the same. Like you're doing your dungeon, you're fighting your trash packs, and then you have your mini boss, which is like a cool fight, and then you have your big fight, that's your raid. Your questing is like the blandest thing in anything.
It's the worst.
You're like, yo, talk to this guy, and then go to these 4 points on the map and press X on them. Which is like, that's how the MMO works. Your story is pretty good. I think it's like not as good as 14. It's fine. Like, I don't think 16 has a terrible story, but it's good. The music is incredible.
Oh, Yeah, it
Music
is.
is beyond incredible, and like overall, I think it's like an incredible. It's a very strong 8 out of 10. Very strong 8 out of 10.
Yeah. So the problem with that game, it gets more tedious and boring as you go on.
Yeah, like I can
Because instead
clear
of like
it.
2 missions, now there's like 5 you have to do.
Yeah, I think then it like escalates the more side quests,
Oh,
and the side quests are kind of eh. And I feel like playing this game, I'm like, I understand this is not going to win anyone's game of the year.
Mm-mm.
Like, also Clive is really strong. Like, I am not like the
So
greatest at
cool.
like character action, but I've never been in danger in this game. I'm playing on like regular mode. The only times I have used a potion is when I was not I somehow switched and was not on Torgal mode, and I hit up to do Torgal bite, and then I used a potion.
Uh, it kind of gets like that until around Titan, and then it's like, okay, you're gonna start using more because it gets harder.
You use like a
But
couple.
early game, you don't need to.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like I am incredibly strong. But no, it's good. I like it.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, if I think about Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
I'm like familiar with like Final Fantasy 4,
Okay.
and then I'm familiar with like 7, 8, 9, 10,
Yeah.
and then 13 is Lightning,
Yep, that's 13.
and there's like 3 parts to 13.
Yep.
Yeah.
And each of the subsequent parts I feel is actually a good
Well,
game. It just unfortunately has the cast and characters of Final Fantasy 13, which is bad.
if Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns didn't have lightning,
Oh, it'd be
I think that'd be a
sick.
lot better game.
Oh, that game would be great. I
Okay.
That'd be
love a
awesome.
lot of 13 like Lightning Returns. And I think some parts of 13 too are like a good Chrono Trigger. There's some cool like time travel shenanigans in 13 too.
And then
But the
14's the MMO,
Yep, 14's
Yep.
the MMO. So is
15
11.
is Noctis,
Yep.
15 is Boys Trip.
Yep, 15 is boys.
and I really only have that stuck in my brain because of Tekken.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
And then the 16's, so like I have no idea what 16 is, and I have no idea what 11 and 12 are.
So 11's the first MMO. 12 is Ivalice, kinda. It's basically 12 is the setting of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Like if you played Final Fantasy Tactics Advance or Final Fantasy Tactics, like that's kind of where 12 is.
Let's pretend I didn't.
So it's also 12 is it's like more of a kind of a desert like low fantasy, more lower fantasy than the typical sci-fi stuff that you go in with like 8 and 9, not eight, like 7 and 8 and 13. It's more like we're going back to like we're doing markets and bazaars. It's a lot more desert theme. 14 is kind of like the best of a Final Fantasy, where it's revealed that like just to the north there was the techno faction, but other than that, like most of it's kind of like actual wizards and magic and stuff. With all, of course, your token ruins, sci-fi ruins, filled with ancient machines. And that's kind of like the exact same what's going on in 16, but 16 is not connected to the MMO.
16 is more about, slavery.
Yeah.
And
It's clearly and there's like as I've played 14, I'm like, oh, that's just the Allegan ruins. Like your main base is just in the Allegan ruins with like the white and like the kind of sparkles on them, and they're like magic. And then you go and like, well, this is the town that's built in the age of what the ancients called the airship. And I'm like, yeah, I know where we're going here. And you have the blight, and I'm sure that the blight isn't caused by the summons, just like in the hit game Final Fantasy 14. Yeah. Where whenever there's a summon, it drains all of the magic out of an area. So it's like, I've kind of, I know where your story beats are, gang.
Oh, look, there are like there's magic in the world, which are the crystals.
Yep.
that people use, so you can like use a crystal to use a little magic.
Yeah.
But then there's also people
Who can use
that
magic.
can use magic, but they're unfortunately also tools that you can buy.
Yeah. You put a little magic poison tattoo on them, and they're
Yeah,
good to go.
and they become your magic slave.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that because that's just the way things have been forever.
Yeah. Like
To be
it's
magic slaves, they could have just not been magic.
yeah. It's that
But if
kind
you
of.
use, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and it's that time honored tradition of here's like the X-Men who have mutant powers. Let's oppress them. I'm sure nothing bad will happen by sending this man who can shoot lasers out of his eyes. Nothing bad will happen.
The problem is though, if you use too much of your magic in this world, you get the curse.
Yeah.
Is the
So-
curse good?
Oh, the curse is not good. Curse is death.
Yeah, you just die.
And so, what happens to your slave? What do you do after that? After your magic slave, dies of the curse, you just go buy a new one. It's that easy.
Oh, see, if they were smart, they'd invest in a necromancer slave.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what my boy Reggie was like in Pathfinder when I became a lich. He was like, using our fallen to resurrect them as soldiers. A most prudent use of your powers. I'm like, man, Reggie, you're great. Thank you. He's my favorite. He
It's
Pathfinder aside, Reggie or Regil is this Hell Knight gnome who is slowly dying because he is dedicated to an efficient and brutal order and law, but as a gnome that is literally killing him because gnomes are supposed to be fancy and whimsy and they live as long as they're finding new and wondrous experiences. So he is dying and he is withering away, but he's like, I'm not going to look about fancy. I'm going to die serious. And you're like, man, Reggie, you're cool. But yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, what about Final Fantasy?
pretty good.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Flash.
Oh wow! Going from something that's pretty good to something that's pretty bad is what we're going to. Holy crap! Is that movie just awful?
It looked
I
awful.
heard it follows the Bleach technology of fighting in vacant, empty white zones.
Jesus Christ! It's all that movie is.
It looked like
Holy
a bad
crap.
PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3 game.
There's so much. There's PS2 levels.
Hell
No,
yeah.
you're right. No, you're right. PS3 levels of CGI.
It looked.
What was the? It looks like that DC MMO that came out 10 years ago.
But the CG
Yeah.
trailer to it.
Yeah.
At a point while we were watching this, Nikki looks at me and says, "When did this movie come out?" And I said, 4 months ago. So she went, "Huh? This looks awful." Godly, it's horrible. I can't even recommend it. It's free
On what?
on Max, so I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'll throw it in the background while I'm doing stuff. Horrible, awful.
Okay, I'm glad it's this bad because I'm like, but that Superwoman's kind of hot. Maybe I'll watch it, and then it's like, no, don't even.
Not even for that. Just look at fan art. Go to Pixiv. They'll help keep you. They'll let you know
I love
what's up.
Pixiv.
There's something great about they had the Henry Cavill debacle in Justice League.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we've learned from our mistakes. Now let's do a full CGI Ben Affleck face.
There you go.
Worse, even worse. Horrible.
There we go. We gotta stick with our Ezra Miller, who's crimes and all this.
No
garbage.
one's coming to this movie. So no other actors are coming back to this movie besides Gal Gadot for 5 seconds, and then she gets off screen and leaves.
There we go. That's what we love to see it.
It's just wild to me how many things they were actively canceling that were basically finished. And
But
they didn't
this is
just.
the one.
We're just gonna cancel this one too.
That's what it feels like. This should have been one of, like, from what I've seen and like the images, like this should have been one of those, like, yo, Warner DC, you keep like canceling stuff for tax reasons. This is one of those you should have done. Like the Blue Beetle movie looked okay from the trailer. That would have been one I'm like, nah, you could release that one. But the Flash one, I'm like, just cancel it.
Listen, Warner Discovery, you give me a $70K salary a year. Not much, less than what those writers are asking for.
That's true.
Give me that. I will watch every movie that you're currently making every year and tell you if you should cancel it or not.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, cancel this one for tax reasons. It's better.
Yep, this one needs go. Nope, don't need this one.
New Aquaman movie, put it in the I don't know, but that old Aquaman movie, apparently China loved it. So I don't know.
Well, okay, they can cancel it for U.S. taxes and still release it in.
Okay,
China.
so what we need is Drew, and we need Chinese Drew, who's like watching it, and he's like Chinese Drew's like, no, China's gonna like this one. You're like,
this one, I like the idea of like,
yeah,
it's Drew talking to the Max board, but then he has to like close his Zoom call and go to the Chinese Max call, and then he just takes his fingers and.
Oh no! Oh no!
And they're like, "Oh yeah, what's
his name is
what
Chinese
Dr. Venture
Drew.
Did when he was talking."
No, because the board of executives are like racist. They don't know, so it's just,
they don't know.
They don't know. They're like, oh yeah, there's Chinese Drew. That's his name on his Zoom call.
Yep.
Oh fuck.
Old CD we call him. Yeah. For hip.
Oh fuck.
Please do not do an impression of Chinese Drew on the podcast.
No.
We're not that.
No,
we're not in the
just like
we're not in the early aughts.
Like normal. But they still like, oh, okay, I guess he's just, he speaks regular English. Who cares?
Well,
in a northern accent.
Yeah, he's a professional.
However, I want more people to understand that Elon Musk is just
you're not racist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that Elon Musk is just St. Cloud from the Fincher brothers.
Yeah.
Like he just
is. He is 100%.
Like if you like if I was like I would read all of his tweets. If you read all of his tweets like this. You're just like, oh, it all makes sense.
Yep.
A wit to
He's
the
just a whiny baby.
A wit to
Twitter needs to be Art Deco.
It needs to be Art Deco, Billy Quizboy.
I think I got too far into Swedish Chef.
Sometimes it's hard to do exactly.
No, it's about it.
Like I can do it sometimes, but not all the time. I'm not good at voices. Oh, on Max. However, on Max, I watched Lethal Weapon, the first one with my dad.
Yes.
The movie's pretty good.
Favorite.
Oh, you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like it starts a little slow because it is like a '80s action movie that's apparently like slightly younger than me. It was like 87.
Yeah, it's 87.
So I'm like, oh, but it picks up and it gets like really good.
Yeah, I like it. I like Mel Gibson. I wish he wasn't problematic. I don't know how.
No. I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Man, like he's such a good actor.
No, it became. There was a old South Park bit where it was like they were trying to.
I know what you're talking about.
They were trying to find person. And it was like Mel Gibson, and they're like, "Man, he's a weirdo, but you gotta admit he knows what he's doing."
Yeah,
and that's
because like they keep bringing directors in. It's like Michael Bay just keeps saying explosions. Like no, that's not directing. That's special effects. And then Mel Gibson, who is like standard South Park nude body, but then with Canadian effect, actual Mel Gibson's face.
Yeah. It's like, oh, my nipples are so hard. Why don't you torture me? Oh, I have feelings about like South Park, kind of the same as where I'm like, man, some of that I really like.
Just
some of that I really like.
But so did you just the first Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, we watched just the first one.
Okay.
So we're probably gonna watch the sequel at some point.
Yeah. I was with how many of them?
Until they get bad. Until we hit a bad one.
You gotta go to 4 at least. Come on.
to spoil you, Kevin,
All right.
my favorite moment in Lethal Weapon is whenever he's on the can and they realize there's a bomb.
Okay. Because like the first one I like I like my brain says that like I feel my own biases creeping in, kind of going with Homestuck. I think Nicolas Cage would have been a way better than Mel Gibson as like man going insane.
Oh
Because
yeah.
Nicholas,
So
because that is his, he plays that better than any actor I've seen of like the slow descent into
yeah,
madness.
but I just can't like I can see Mel Gibson and I can see like a cop in Mel Gibson
I can
and
also
I
see him
can't
more
really
action-y.
see,
Like when he was doing the action
yeah.
stuff, that made more sense. Where like I was like, okay, I love
Nick
you, Nicolas
Cage,
Cage. You can't do action.
he did Con Air and that's about as actiony as he can
Yeah, but
go.
not like like Nicolas Cage can't do the scene where he's like pulling himself up and then like choking the man out with his legs. Or that's not Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, no. Which one is it? Which lethal weapon is it with political
I'm pretty sure
what
that's two.
the what is it where diplomats can't be tried?
Immunity. Yeah.
Yeah, political. Because I always think of that one
Diplomatic immunity.
because Fillmore did an episode. Like I'm pretty sure Fillmore is just every '80s cop movie they just distill into a 30-minute cartoon episode, and that's why Fillmore is so good.
Fillmore is shockingly good.
Don't know why
Not
that
even
hasn't been brought
shockingly,
back.
it's just good.
Well, no,
It's
I mean
great.
shockingly because it came out on like the ABC mornings next to like Recess, and there's even though I kind of like Recess, but you know what I mean.
I like Recess. Like, I don't know. Yeah, no. It's somehow all of those shows you see a commercial for and you think that looks like trash, and then you watch it's like, this is a really good show.
Yeah, I would put Fillmore in that thing. Like you're not getting Lloyd in
Fillmore,
space.
Recess, Pepper Ann,
I would put Kim Possible
What
in
the
there.
Weekenders?
The Weekenders is
Weekenders,
also.
yeah.
There's a lot of like basically the ABC morning cartoons where like from first glance you're like this is trash, and then you watch one and you're like, oh, hold on, what are they doing?
and
Wait, why is
somehow
this in the trash slot?
Yeah. And then you see
somehow
Lloyd in
it's true
space.
for
You
all
put
of them.
You put Lloyd in space in the trash. Get out of here, Lloyd in
Yep.
space.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Except for the Halloween episode where his younger sister psychically made him imagine spending 60 years hiding out from monster versions of his best friends.
Well, I always like that twist. That's one of my favorite Invader Zim episodes where Zim trapped Dib to live his entire life just to admit he threw that muffin at him and it just lets him go.
Gave him a good life, too.
Yeah, he just wakes up at the end. Made you live your entire life. Oh man. Yeah, I liked Recess. What's your favorite Recess episode? Off the top of your head.
It's either the one where
I have two.
they go to the other school for the kickball game,
Okay.
and it's just reversed their recess school. I can't remember what it's called.
So, okay, I have three off the top of my head.
All right.
The first one is when... Sorry, go keep
No,
going.
no, sorry, no, or the one where everyone gets sick and they're the only one that has to go to school. So they have like they're just having fun all day.
Yeah.
Until it starts getting horrible.
So the three that immediately come to mind are Spinelli takes the place of Guru Kid and just starts teaching everybody how to beat everyone else up.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Perfect Kid.
I don't
The one
remember
who's
that.
Oh yeah.
It's the one who's the best at everything, and I remember it because it's the one that gets me to completely buy in that the creators know what they're doing, because he races Vince, and he's faster than Vince, and of course, like any child, the first thing Vince says is, "It must be the shoes,"
News.
and then you look at Perfect Kid's character design, and he has Vince's shoes,
Oh,
so they
man.
can't even
Oh,
use
man, I
it
love
as an
that.
excuse. And then the third thing that stands out to me is like the cool, was he a substitute teacher or a student teacher who's like he was basically TJ, whatever he went to school there, and his name was Mr. Edwards, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Oh.
Okay,
I
this
think
is
he was a
great because
substitute.
none of our episodes overlap.
Oh, thank God.
My favorite two are Gus plays dodgeball, and it's like the Western, and it shows that he's like really good at dodgeball.
El Diablo.
Oh.
That's like I'm like, oh, that was sick. And my favorite is where TJ realizes that kid just won't like him. It doesn't matter what he does. He's like,
Or
I
he
just don't like
him.
you, and I never will. And I'm like, oh, that's such a good
Like,
lesson for children to learn.
And I have
Sometimes
one
they're
more.
just not. They don't like you.
Yep, they just don't.
I don't
And
hate you,
the last
but I'm not gonna
the
like you.
last one is the like Injustice League episode where like Lawson puts together his own recess gang. And I don't remember for what purpose, but
Damn it. Sorry, you're pulling one back for me.
No, that's good. Keep going.
Also, the Dirt Clod episode, where it's a procedural.
Oh, like who threw
Show.
who put the rock
Yeah,
in
who
the
threw the
dirt?
rock in the dirt
Come
clod?
on.
yep. Oh no, okay, the kindergarten race episode that ends with Fatty declaring no more kindergarten race. No more exploiting his people.
Oh, I love that.
What was the one where like, okay, there's like the one where like Spinelli, it was revealed her first name. What was the girl's?
It's Ashley.
Yeah,
Ashley Spinelli.
she had to become an Ashley.
Please.
I liked that episode.
Also, that after watching Hogan's Heroes, you're just like, Recess is just Hogan's
Yeah,
Heroes.
it's just, yeah, that's all it is. That one where TJ and Spinelli had to kiss and everyone didn't know what would happen because all of the kids were talking game, but they all backed down.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, Recess is good. Good show,
Yep.
Recess.
All right. Later days.
Later days. Bye.
Good ending.